Okay, now let's write the last module markets.py, and we can wrap up this S01 to S11 code refactor tutorial. Of market related functions are get underlying list, get marginal underlying list, write underlying list, get initialization data, get assist id, get candle history, and plot candles and save candles. So these are the market related functions, right? Now let's put this thing in markets.py module. So for this module we need to import couple of things. We need to import pandas, mplfinance, right? mplfinance as mpf, pandas as pd, and then import logging. Okay, and then import time. Okay, this may be all we need for timing. This needs to be time. Okay, now let's write market class. So let's write market class, and this market class also need to accept WebSocket manager and message handler instance, because we need to send WebSocket request and get WebSocket message as well, right? So we need to this function must accept these two things. Now let's initialize this class as well from, okay, not here, this needs to be done here in this module from version 2 dot markets import market manager, and then we can initialize it here. So this needs to be market manager, and also the class name needs to be market manager. Okay, so this is all we need to do. Next thing, okay, so we have underlying list fetching and then candlestick data fetching, right? Okay, first let's get candlestick data. Let's get the candlestick data, define a function. Okay, so I'm going to name it get candle history. So to get candlestick history we need to pass assist name, number of bars we want to get, and the time frame, right? And it's in second. Okay, I will add this doc string as well. And next is, okay, so the payload for getting candlestick is this, right? Let's copy this thing. Let's copy this thing and paste here. Okay, so instead of send to WebSocket, now this needs to be ws what's the name, ws manager, right? Self dot ws manager. Okay, what's the problem? Okay, this needs to be indented, I guess. Yeah, self dot ws manager dot send message, and we can directly pass the name, right? Get rid of this. Still getting the error. Okay, this needs to come out. So what's the error? Why am I getting this error? So we have assist name, right? No doubt. We have time frame also, count also, self dot server time. We need to get it, but is it, I think this is the reason. Okay, fine. And now self dot candle. So we need to store this message in message handler function, and we need to write functions for this. Now let's define attribute and function for this. So self dot candle gonna be none, right? And we need to define a function that's going to store candles data. Yeah, and now we need to have it in our handlers. So the name needs to be for candles. It needs to be candles. Okay, candles, and the function need to be so what's the function name we have? Handle candles. Handle candles. Excuse me. Now instead of self dot candles, this needs to be self dot message handler dot candles, right? Until candle is none, keep waiting for message, right? So now we need to define this function. So let's copy this function from here, copy this thing, and paste it here. So we need to have a file called underlying list. For now, let's copy underlying list from here and paste it. Okay, paste it inside here. And now let's import that underlying list. So from version 2, import underlying list. Okay, looks all good. Now we need to get server time, and the server time we can get using message handler, right? So we can get server time using message handler dot, we have a attribute called server time, I guess. Yes, server time. All looks good. Now what we can do is wait for some time and then actually return the candles data. This is what we can do. Looks good. Now let's go to our IQ client and define a gateway function here. Okay, so we can define a gateway function this way, right? Ensure connected, then pass default values, right? So far so good. Close this, and now let's go to main.py and call that function get candle history. Don't need to pass any argument, and let's print to see if candles data is being fetched or not. Okay, so we are getting error. Argument of type module is not iterable if assist name in underlying list. So this is where the error is being raised. Self if assist name in underlying list, and it says argument of type module. Why it's saying this? Let's debug it. So the assist name, right? If assist name in underlying, okay, the thing is this underlying list is a module name, right? And this module has this variable. Okay, we are getting the candlestick data, right? Now let's copy this plot candle function, right? We don't need to make modification to this function, so copy and paste, copy and paste, right? Okay, let's call this function. So first we need to, what we can do actually is, we can do this, we can do something like algo API dot markets manager dot, it has plot candle, right? We can do this, and we are passing the data that we are getting from get candle history directly to this function. Okay, so the candle is plotted. This means this plot candle function is also working, right? Now what will happen if I call plot candles without passing any candles data? Okay, it says missing one required positional argument candles data. Okay, just in case like that, let's add this validation. So if candles data is let's add this validation block at the top. Okay, and this will essentially say logger dot warning, no candles data is available, and it will return do nothing. Okay, we're still getting missing one required positional argument. Let's set this to none. Okay, let's set this to none and let's run. Okay, now we are getting warning says no candles data available. How about doing this? If candle data is known, what we can do actually is we can call this function self dot get candle history function directly, right? Let's see what we are going to get this time. Okay, so it still says missing one required positional argument assist name. Okay, actually we need to pass the assist name. Plot candle str. Okay, fine. For time being, let's simply raise the error, right? Let's simply print that no candles data available and just return from the function, right? And in case we have data is available, this function is able to plot the chart, right? Let's do one more example. Let's store the data in candles variable and do algo API dot markets manager. Actually, let's define a gateway function for this also. So we need to define gateway function for just a moment. We have already defined gateway function for candle history, right? So now what we can do is algo dot algo API dot get candle history, right? We can do this and we can pass this candle data here, and let's say this time we want to get candles for euro USD OTC chart instead of default value, and let's say I want to get 10 candles only. right? Count 10 candles and time frame, let's say I want to get 5-second candle. Okay, and now let's define gateway function for this plot candle. Can simply define this function, right? In this function I am not going to have this validation function because not all the time we get candle from the iqoption and print it. Sometime we might read data from CSV, right? And in that case we can call this function. We don't have to necessarily be connected to iqoption, right? We can pass candle data from CSV data and we can plot it. That's why let's not add this validation block here. Now without the help of account manager we can access plot candles. Okay, so first we called get candle history functions, right? This is euro USD OTC chart, 5-second charts, and we're getting 10 bars only. And from the chart you can guess this is very likely OTC chart because we can see so many gaps up and down, right? Okay, so this plot function is working as expected. The next function that's available is save candles to CSV. This function also we can copy this function and paste it here, right? The name can be same, and let's say candle data none, and file name can remain the same, right? And let's add validation for this. If candle data is not available, we will try to get the candles data from message handler. Next let's copy this thing, this validation block, right? In case candle is not available, it will simply return by printing this message. So what this will do is first it will try to get candles data from message handler. By default we are setting candle data to none, right? In case we have candles data, this function will try to get that candle data and pass this data to save as CSV, right? But in case this candles data is not passed and also this message handler has candles data as none, this block will be triggered and it will print this message and it will return simply none. Yeah, and these remaining blocks will not be executed. So df candles min max, right? Let's make it one liner. Okay, and then we are converting from and to time, right? And then we will save this to CSV. Okay, now instead of plotting candle, let's do actually we need to have gateway. We need to define gateway function. So let's define gateway function. IQ client right down here. Okay, now we can call this function directly, right? And we are passing the candles data, and we can also pass the name, like let's say euro USD OTC. Let's run this script and see if it's going to create euro USD OTC .csv file or not. Okay, so we have got euro USD OTC.csv, right? And it has 1 2 3 4 5 10 rows of data because we are we have set the count to 10, right? If we set this to 100, now we will have hundreds of rows in our euro USD-OTC.cs file. So now we have hundreds of data, right? Okay, so this function is also working as expected. Now let's get rid of this thing. Okay, so what remaining now is getting underlying list for binary option, digital option, and Forex, crypto, and CFD, right? So now we need to write function for getting underlying list, and these three functions, get underlying list, get marginal underlying list, and get initialization data, all of these functions have the common purpose, and that is to get underlying assist list, right? So instead of writing this thing separately, let's put this thing together. I think this will be much better. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's write a function that will uh, get all the underlying list. So let's give it a name like this. Right? And we need to pass the type of instrument we want to get to. Let's say if we want to get digital option, so this is going to be digital option. Actually, I will write a comment, and that will say valid instrument type, because these are the instrument type. We can pass one of the instruments type, right? We cannot pass dictionary to it because it accepts string as like our single item. Okay, next thing that we want to do is I want to make sure the instrument type being passed is one of these. If instrument type passed is not one of these, this means we don't have these options available within iqoption, right? And there is no point making WebSocket request for that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create a enum class. Okay, so this enum is helpful when you want to have like constants value, right? These values are never going to change, right? So let's define this class. Now what we can do here is actually uh, do validation. So let's say valid types equals to, and let's do dictionary comprehension, right? So what we can do is instrument or item dot value for instrument dot value for instrument in this instrument type enum class. Okay, so this will get all the available values for, like, from this it will get the, not this one but this one, CFD, Forex, crypto, digital option, and binary option. So it is going to get this, right? And then what we can do is actually do this: if the instrument type being passed not in valid types, what we can do is actually raise exception. We can raise exception, or we can simply print warning message and return nothing, right? That's what we can do. Or instead of raising exception, let's do this. Logger, sorry, we need to import logger here. So import logging and add this block. And here what we'll do is simply say logging dot not necessarily error, but it's a warning, right? Here you pass the invalid instrument type, right? So this is what it will say. Okay, now let's define a gateway function. So what we can do is actually this. To get underlying assist, we must be authenticated, so we need to have this, and instead of this, let's copy this get underlying assist, right? This needs to be this, and from market manager this needs to be this, and instead of this, so this function must have one argument, and that needs to be instrument type, so it must accept instrument type. Okay, and we can pass this instrument type here. Actually, let's do dot lower, right? You can simply do str, and that will turn yellow. Okay, so we first ensure connected, right? And then if we are connected, then we proceed further, right? Now let's call this function algo api algo api dot this, and let's pass forex. Let's pass instrument type like this and see what we are going to get. So it says warning, unsupported instrument type FOREC XXX must be one of crypto, digital option, forex, binary option, or CFD. Perfect. So this is working as expected, right? We don't need to necessarily exit, or we don't need to necessarily do sys.exit, right? Um, because if this function does not work, it does not affect other function, right? That's why we don't have to necessarily exit from the program. The next thing what we need to add is so what we need to add is, let's add this thing in message handler. Instead of storing like underlying assist in like underlying assist or initialization data, like we have here in the previous version. So we are storing initialization data, underlying data this way, right, in this variable, and initialization data in this variable. Since this function is it calls one instrument at a time, this means we can store like underlying assist in this variable, right? And then uh, on call, at first we will do this means it will set this variable false, right? And then when we make like a particular underlying list request, when we receive a response for that, and that data will be stored in this. So now let's define this variable in this variable in message handler, right? Okay, now we can do this. Next, what we can do is actually let's send payload to, actually let's send a message to WebSocket requesting particular instruments underlying list. For that, what we can do is actually so the payload needs to be for underlying list. For initialization data, this needs to be the payload, right? So let's copy this thing here. So this needs to be for initialization data, and this payload is for getting marginal instrument, and then this payload is for getting digital underlying list, right? Now let's write a function that will build this message, actually determine which message to return. Okay, now let's write a new function. So I am going to give it a name, something like build message. Let's give it a name, something like a build message. And what this will do is actually try to first it will determine the type of instrument. For example, if the instrument type being passed is digital option, then it will determine, okay, the payload for digital option needs to be this, right? The name send message is same for all of these three things, right? So we can define it only, we can define it only one place, or we can directly place this inside send message functions as first parameter. That's what we can do, right? So if message name is digital option, if message name is digital option, the msg payloads needs to be this. And likewise if instrument type is binary option, the payload needs to be this. And instrument type is one of Forex, CFD or crypto, this means it's for marginal instrument, the payload needs to be this, right? Now we can simply return message, right? And now here let's get rid of these things. Now let's make WebSocket request, right? So what we can do is self dot, we have WebSocket ws manager object, right? ws manager dot sorry, not object instance, right? ws manager dot, we have send message function, and send message is common for all of three instruments underlying access list fetching, right? So send message, and then what we can do is actually we need to get msg. So what we can do is actually we can do self dot build message body, and we need to pass off instrument type. Okay, we need to pass type of instrument type. So this is all we need to do. And next thing what we can do is actually wait for some time. So we have this attribute in message handler class, right? So what we can do is actually while self dot message handler message handler dot underlying list equal none, keep looping for some time dot sleep, and let's do a very small time dot sleep, right? Okay, and then after we receive message, what we can do actually is return the underlying list from message handler instance, right? Okay, so far so good. Now here what we can do is actually print it, and this time let's pass valid instrument type, and let's run the script. Are we going to get underlying assist for Forex or not? Okay, actually we need to assign incoming underlying assist message to this variable. Now we need to define function that handles underlying message, and we need to also add that to handlers, right? Now let's do that. So how can we do that is okay, let's write this function, and now let's add this function here, right? And for this function, so if it's an underlying list, uh, handle underlying list, right? For digital option and marginal instrument, the name for underlying assist message is underlying list, and for binary option, list and crypto, the name is initialization data, right? The function gonna be same for both thing. Okay, the function gonna be same, just the name gonna be different. Okay, and we are going to store it in this variable. So what we want also, okay, so what we need to do now is let's see how we are getting message. So for initialization, from message get msg. For underlying list, if digital option, this is what we need to do, and if it's a marginal instrument, this is what we need to do. Actually, let's write a different function for handling initialization data. Okay, let's add this function responsible for handling initialization data, but it will also store underlying list to this self.underlying assist attribute. Okay, and this function is also going to utilize the same attribute. So for this thing, now what we need to have is this. We need to have this logic. Okay, so if message dot get type equals to digital option, this is how we need to filter out the message, and if not, then it's for marginal forex, and this is how we can access the message, right? Okay, all looks good. Now let's run this script and see what we are going to get. So we are calling get underlying as underlying list for forex, right? So it says info active balance this, and then it exits, but we're not getting any data printed. So we're calling this function, right? This function returns, and this is also supposed to return. So what's happening? Get underlying assist here. Okay, the problem is we wrapped it inside a bracket, but we did not do this. Okay, now we can get rid of this. Let's clear the console and run the script. This time for sure we are going to get those underlying list printed, right? Okay, so this is working, right? So this is how we did, like, build the message body, and then this underlying list now looks much cleaner, right? Next thing what we need to do is so what function we have next is refill. Actually save, we need to save, right? So write underlying assets to a file. Okay, fine. Okay, let's write function for that. Let's write function for storing underlying list to a file. Okay, now let's write a function to save underlying assets to a file. Now what we can do is actually okay, let's define these two variables. And next thing is, so this save underlying assets to file, it's going to do two things. Well, it's going to save a file, save data to a file. So what, like how it's going to work is, for marginal instrument like Forex, CFD, and crypto, it's going to underlying assets from all these three in a separate file. And for digital option, binary option, bleached, and turbo, it's going to save it in different files. So in different files, uh, so it will create two files for underlying list. Okay, the thing is, uh, for digital options, most of the available pairs are OTC, right? And it also has like some regular Euro USD, some regular Forex pair with prefix OP. So I think it will be better to store the file that way. Now let's do that. So what we can do actually is do this, right? So for instrument in Forex, CFD, and crypto, underlying list is going to be self dot get underlying list, right? So we're calling this function and we are passing each instrument, right? So it's going to loop and get underlying assist for each instrument one by one. And then what we are doing is we are looping through the underlying list for each instrument, because some of the items are suspended and not available to trade. So to filter this, we can do this, and now we can save stored sorry we can save filtered file to this marginal underlying assist. Yeah, and the next what we can do is, so let's get binary option and digital option underlying list, right? So this is how it needs to be. And what we can do is, actually we need to loop through these two underlying list data as well, because this initialization data contains the underlying assist for binary, bleached, and turbo, right? And for digital it contains digital underlying list. Now let's loop through each of these and store and and then save unique assist to this and then save unique assist to this option underlying assist dictionary, right? So first let's look for digital option underlying list, right? And then it also filters for not suspended item, and then if item or assist are not suspended, then it will add this assist to this uh, options underlying assist with assist name like Euro USD as key and its ID as value. And the same thing we need to do for digital option. For digital option, we can get the data from underlying, the data is in initializing data, right? And it has three instruments. So we let's look through all of these three instrument and like get unique item from each of these instrument, right? So we are looking from each instrument for instrument in initializing data, right? And then we are going to get the value, and we are filtering for not suspended item, and we are doing same thing as like for digital option. Okay, After doing this, now we will have, okay, let's do one thing. Actually, let's print marginal underlying assist and see how it looks. So copy this file name, and from here let's do this algo api dot market manager dot save underlying assist to a file, and we don't need to pass any argument, right? Let's see if we are going to get assist name and id as key value pair dictionary or not. Okay, it says active account, then WebSocket error from callback error items. Okay. Oh, I see the issue now. Actually, this needs to be handled initialization data, right? Function mismatch there. Perfect. So this is marginal instrument, right? So here you can see it's a dictionary and assist name as key and id as value. So from Forex, then CFD, and down here to crypto. Okay, the same way let's print the message for this option underlying assist as well, just to make sure that what we are doing is actually working. Okay, this thing is also working. Now we can proceed to save these assets to a file. For that, let's create a function. Let's create a function called export to a file, right? And we will simply pass the data, right? This data, a marginal instrument or a digital option instruments underlying list, right? And also the file name. So what we're going to do is same like this. So copy this thing and paste it here. So instead of hard-coded value, what we need to do is actually remove that and type pass this file here, write mode, it is okay, and then this comment is also fine, and here it says assist. Okay, let's store it in a variable called assist before we have underlying list, right? And for item, instead of merge item, now this needs to be data dot data is a dictionary, so this needs to be data dot items, and we don't need to apply filtering. What we need to do is for item in data, so this needs to be actually key comma, we need to do unpacking value. In data we can get rid of the suspended, we are already filtering for that. Now we can pass the key here and value here, so key value, right? And then file dot write backslash n. Okay, looks perfect. Now my bad. Okay, now let's call this function and pass underlying assist data to store this in a file. So what we can do is, now we have this function called export, right? Self dot export to Excel file. First thing that we need to pass is the data. So we have option underlying assist and marginal underlying assist, right? So let's pass option underlying assist, and we also need to pass the file name. This time let's store thing in more descriptive way. So underlying, for underlying assist, save it in a module called options underscore assist.py, and for marginal underlying assist, save it in a file called marginal assist.py. Okay, looks good, right? I think okay, all looks good. Now let's invoke this function. I think we are already invoking this function, right? Now let's run the script and see if we are going to get underlying options underlying and marginal. Okay, so we are getting marginal assist, right? So this is for marginal instrument assist, and options assist is for this is for binary option, digital option, bleached and turbo, right? Okay, so our script is working as expected. What is this error we're getting? Okay, now this needs to be, instead of underlying list, what we can do is actually import options underlying options assist, and for now it has this key assist, right? And now down here, instead of underlying assist, this needs to be this needs to be this, right? Perfect. I think this is all the modification that we need to make. Now I want to make sure if we have gateway function or not. So get candle, plot candles, save candles to CSV, then get underlying list, right? And now let's write this gateway function for save. Just a moment, I'll copy the function name. Save underlying assets to a file. Do save underlying assets to a file, and this time we don't need to pass any argument, but we need to keep self, right? And this needs to be this, and get rid of this thing, right? Now instead of using MarketManager object, we can directly do this and it will work for us. Okay, the last thing that I want to do is this WebSocket and message handler. These are for WebSocket operation handling. So what I'm going to do is create a dedicated directory for it. So I'm going to name it something like IQ WebSocket, right? So let's name it like IQ WebSocket and create init file, and actually I'm going to copy those two modules here, right? And what we need to do is actually make a little bit of modification here. Now this needs to be from version 2 dot IQ WebSocket dot IQ WebSocket, right? And from version 2 dot IQ WebSocket dot message handler, right? So this is the only modification that we need to do for changing these two modules, not changing but shifting, like, you know, relocating. Now let's run the script for one last time to see if it's working or not after making those changes. Okay, it's working. Okay, it's working. That means now we can end this S01 to S11 code refactor tutorial. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video.